What's up, kids? It's your girl Jay here, Jay Lovelii, your accountability coach and ghetto psychologist, and it is my life's purpose to help Black people navigate this patriarchal system of white supremacy. Okay, so on this channel, we talk about all kind of shit. We talk about politics, we talk about personal development, we talk about spirituality, we talk about your mama's wig last week. We talk about whatever, but it's all to help Black people navigate this patriarchal system of white supremacy. All right, y'all. So I want to talk about grief today. I want to talk about grief today. I know I started off very changed the vibe real quick, right? But no, and honestly, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna spark up just a little bit, okay? While we're here, I typically don't do this, but I'm talking about grief today, and I want this to be a little bit of a deeper experience. And I get deep anyway. Sorry. I get deep. I want to cover this a little bit though. I get deep anyway, regardless. But it's something about the greenery, you know? They let me know evil lurks. So, in the words of Lil Wayne, all right, let's go. So grief. Um, Everybody's gonna experience it. Grief is not always related to death. Let's start there. Nobody has to die in order for you to grieve, right? Grieving is just basically your emotional response to a loss. It could be the loss of a relationship, it could be the loss of a job, it could be the loss of an experience, right? Because on the low end, right, some of us may have gone to maybe like a concert or you saw a good movie, you read a great book, and then it ended and all of a sudden you sad because you're like, oh shit, it's done, it's no more. I can't go back and re-enjoy this same content the same way I did the first time. That's a sad feeling, right? Because you can't enjoy something the second time the same way you did it the first time. You just can't. This doesn't mean you won't enjoy it at all, but it's just not the same. And on the flip side, you'll find different ways of enjoying it when you do it more than one time. Just the silver lining. But when it comes to grief, right? It's that feeling of I will never experience this person, this event, this thing the same way again. That's literally what grief is. Well, that being said, right? We're gonna talk about the grief that we typically talk about with a little spin. And it's gonna be relationships, right? Grieving relationships. And I'm gonna talk about losing somebody to life and losing someone to death. Because you still grieve. It's not the same grief, but it's still grief. It still feels it's deep, right? Sometimes it's even worse when they're right up the street, when you know they still here. Because it's like, oh my God, this person is still alive. There is a chance that we can make amends, but it's that deafening no. It's not a chance we're gonna make amends. And if it is, it's up to God. It ain't up to me. That type of flow. Because we gotta understand that we control no one. We don't control when our loved ones die. We don't control when they walk out of our lives. We don't control anything but our own reactions. And that's the most important part when it comes to grieving, understanding how to control your own reactions and understanding how to reframe things so that they're not as traumatic. Because the loss of a relationship most times are It's traumatic as fuck. Unless it's just a natural, oh, we grew apart, I lost contact. It's still things, still sometimes you get sad when you think about people that you lost to life that way, where it was not a falling out. You still love them. You just don't know where they at in the world. That's still sad, but it's something when you fell out with somebody and maybe you still don't know where they at in the world. Um, it's really deep when you have to reframe these relationships with people who are no longer in your life. When it's somebody who is still alive, excuse me, the best way, in my opinion, to reframe it is it's kind of dark, but it's almost to treat them as if they did die, right? Because it may make it easier to grieve. Like I said, it's harder to grieve someone who's alive and they right up the street and they just don't want to talk to you for whatever reason. Or maybe you don't want to talk to them for whatever reason. It's just too painful what they did. They betrayed you in the worst way and there's just no coming back from it? And most of us have people who we've had those type of experiences with. But I want y'all to understand that there's a difference in not contacting or talking to these people because you've healed and you just know that there's no going back, or just having a grudge knowing full well that you wish that you could still be cool with that person. That determines a lot. Cause see, people who I fall out with, I'm gonna tell y'all straight up, I'd be like, I don't care. Like there's nobody who I was just like, oh, I wish I could make up with them. There's nobody that I feel that way about, because first of all, when I fall out with people, it be for damn good reason, and it don't be me. It don't. I know a lot of people would say it's not me, but I'm an accountability coach, and I know y'all should be able to look at my content and tell when I'm holding, that I can hold myself accountable. It does not be me. Now, can I have better reactions to what these people say or do to me? Maybe, possibly, but there's nothing I would change. So in my mind, no, right? These are people who either they talk shit behind my back, or they just were secretly jealous of me, or it's a lot, right? So I've had to grieve a lot of my friendships or people who I thought were my friends because they betrayed me in some kind of way. Or really they betrayed themselves, to be honest. Because a lot of times these people really would love to be back friends with me. They would love to have the same level of relationship that we had before. But they know I'm a no nonsense type of person when it comes to certain shit that people do. Cause they know I don't do stupid shit. Some people hold me, oh, some people put me up on such a pedestal that when they do fuck up with me, it's scary for them to approach me because they know that they don't have anything that they can hold over my head like they could other people. Like, for example, let me put this out. I had a friend. Well, I had multiple friends. So I'm not even gonna make it about one person. I've had multiple friends who had terrible friends. Terrible friends. I have had in the past multiple ex-friends who had terrible friends who would tell me how terrible their friends are. And they would still be friends with these people. They would still hang out with them. They still love these people. They still welcome them in their life. Then you got me. I'm the person who, when I'm friends with people, they know they can come and tell me anything and it's not going to get out. Nobody's going to find out your business. I'm like a vault. First of all, who I'm going to tell anyway, most of the time, right? They know that I'm giving them sound, unbiased as possible advice, and they know I'm just gonna keep it real with them. They know that, and they know I'm not finna do no weird shit because I'm just not no weird bitch. They know that. So they know these things about me. So when they do something weird to me, right? And I'm just list off some things people have done. The reason I stopped being friends with them. Somebody remained friends with somebody who sexually assaulted me. So I stopped being friends with that person. Somebody was a secretly jealous friend who didn't know how to come to terms with that and would just play the fence and kind of low key took the side of somebody who was like, I don't want to say somebody who was trying to drag me about something, right? So they took the side of that person instead of taking up for me. So when you find out people move weird, and I got other people who I started being friends with because they did even more weirder shit, right? But them are just two most pertinent to me. Or since we're gonna keep listing, no, I'm just playing. I'm gonna sit them too. But it's more. There's more. So those two friendships that I had to grieve, right? Again, the best way for me to have grieved those relationships again is I just act like they don't exist. Right now, that's where I'm at. Now, of course, it's the stages you go through where you're in denial, just like regular grief. You're in denial. Like I'm in denial that this person is dead because they're not dead. They are very much so alive, right? But in my mind, I have to make it as if they are no longer, so that I can move on. So they still here. Why is this person still here? They should not be here. I don't want them to be here. So I'm in denial and I'm just, processing the things that we've been through and why I'm no longer friends with this person and how fucked up it was what they did to me. And I process it to the point where one day I just don't care what happened between us and I wish them the best. But at the same time, you don't exist to me. You're no one. You literally mean nothing to me. Now, that don't mean that if this person really does die, that I won't be hurt. I'll be hurt. But I've already kind of grieved you out my life, so it won't be as bad to just be like, damn, this is so fucked up to that person. And I just think about all the memories, and I wouldn't think of you in a negative way because I've already gotten over the negative. It's just that I wouldn't have no regrets neither. We was friends, we had a time, and you did some fuck shit. You gone. God bless, right? I don't regret my relationships when people pass away. It's a lot of people who be like, well, you're gonna regret not being close to them, not forming a relationship when they're no longer here. I ain't never felt that way. I just don't feel that way. It's just not who I am. I don't whoever is in my life, whoever is in my life, I want them in my life. Who's ever not in my life, I don't want them in my life. It's just the way it's just that simple. It's cut dry. Right? So when you grieve, for me, grieving people who are still alive is just like treating them like they are no longer alive. I mean, I know it's kind of dark because, like, okay, you're really treating them like they're dead, but that's the way you cope. That's the way you move on. It's like, okay, well, I bid this person farewell and I might not see them again for the rest of my life. Am I okay with that? Rather, the answer is yes or no. I'm going to make do with it. I'm going to be okay with it. Because I know that regardless, they're somewhere and they are okay, whether they're alive or not. That's how you have to treat your relationships. And when you have a relationship with somebody who is no longer on this plane when they pass away, you reframe that relationship as if they are still alive because you have to kind of do the opposite. I know life is a conundrum like that. And again, this is just me using a certain method that works for me, a certain method that I've talked to people and it works for them. Um, Everything don't work for everybody. But again, when you are losing somebody to life, meaning that they are still alive, you just have to, you're no longer friends with that person, you're no longer in a relationship with that person, you're grieving the loss of that relationship with that person, and you know that there's no going back, no reparation. When that happens, you have to treat that person as if they are no longer here. When you lose someone to death, meaning you lose a loved one and they pass on and they are no longer physically in this pain, you have to treat that person as if they are still alive. And it is not, I know a lot of people like, well, you want me to be in denial, you want me to be in delusion. No, I don't want you to be delusional. I want you to know that these people are still alive or they are very much so no longer here. I want you to know that. But you have to learn how to reframe the relationship because when someone is no longer here physically and you feel like you have no space where for that love to go, you have to treat them as if they are still here so that it will be somewhere for it to go, if that makes sense. Whether it's, hey, you just having a conversation with them, whether you write them a letter ever so often, whether you go visit a gravesite, whether you have an altar and you make offerings, you have to reframe the relationship because these people are still here. They live because they live in you. Literally, people live on within us. Think about people who've been dead for hundreds of years. The only reason we know them is because they live on through us. We know about Harriet Tubman. She died 100 over what? No, when did Harriet Tubman die? It's been about 100 years, ain't it? It's been about 100 years since I think Harriet Tubman died. She's been dead for over a decade. I mean, not a decade, over a century or around a century. It's been a long time, put it like that. But we still know her. Even down to your grandma, who may be dead, your great grandma, whoever, who's no longer with us, she still living on in you. If you tell somebody, a complete stranger, about her, that's implanting a memory of her. They might not know what she looked like, but they know one detail about her. That's living. That's them living on. These people are still here. Their spirit never is never gone. Much like you, right? We've always all been here. And one thing about it that helps is reframing death as if it's forever permanent, like this permanence. Sure, you will never see this person again, whether they're alive or not. Let's be clear. Because there's some people who you end a relationship with and you will never see them again in your life. There's people who, just to be vulgar, I allowed in my body, and I might not ever see them again in my life. Might not ever talk to them again in my life. So whether they alive or not doesn't matter. Okay? And it's the same thing with the people who you know you're never going to see again in your life. When you know there's no chance because they're in on the other side. You got to understand that we all are destined to lose each other. Whatever relationship you are in, whether it be a family relationship, whether you're a mother, whether you're a wife, brother, sister, cousin, doesn't matter. All of those relationships will end one day. Either they're going to end because you will go or they will go, or because you fell out with them. And I know that that sucks because people think it's so dark. Oh my God, everything ends. That sucks. That's why, and that's how you should be more grateful for the relationship that you have. That is why we should not take each other for granted because it all ends. It's simple. If it lasted forever, you wouldn't treat it well. Let's be clear. Let's be honest. Let's be clear. Humans are like that. That's why we treat the planet like shit. Because we think the planet is just gonna last forever. La la la. Pollution here, pollution there, waste here, waste there. That's what we do. Same thing when we go out here and we hunt these animals. Oh, they're gonna last forever. La 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 la. Boom. Endangered species. you know? Just saying, But reframing grief, again, like I said, it's just about looking at those relationships and just making it easier to cope by switching your perspective. Again, for me, it works. If I fall out with someone and they still alive and I just know that there's little to no hope that we'll ever speak or see each other again, I just treat them like they died. Like it's nothing I could do about it. I wish this person well. God bless them. I still love them. If I never speak to them again, at least they know where I stand and I know where they stand, right? And then on the flip side, if I lose somebody to death, I still treat them like they exist. I treat them like they still here. They matter. So I don't know. It's kind of fucked up when you think about it. It's like, damn, you treat the other person like they dead, and you treat the dead person like they live. It's just my coping mechanism. If I put you out my brain, I don't have to consistently think about how you fucked me over because that's my last memory of you. When I think about those people that I just brought up, those two friends, that's the last my last memory is. Oh, this person remained friends with somebody who sexually assaulted me, and this person was a secret hater. That's my last memory. But I know it was more memories, of course. There were great times with those people. But it just happened that was the last memory. So for me to feel like I don't have to think about those things often, I just act like those people don't exist. I brought them up in the sake of this content, but I don't really regularly think about them. And because they existed before, I can't act like I don't think about them at all because they existed. They still exist. But I keep saying, see, that's how you know I really be killing motherfuckers off in my head because I keep making it seem like they existed. I keep saying ED on it. These people are still alive, y'all. They just no longer exist in my life. So I treat it like how that is, like what it is. You no longer exist in my life. My grandmother, my aunt, they will always exist in my life because I did not fall out with these people, right? I just lost them to death. I didn't lose them to life. So that's why you have to learn how to switch the perspective because the end of the relationship is different. So that's why I treat it that way. The ending of the relationships were different. There you go. Anywho, it's been cool. It's been real. Had a little smoke session with you guys. Um, I kind of want to talk about some things going on in my life. But at the same time, I don't have a lot to talk about. I'm going through a really a transition. I'm going through a very anxiety-ridden time. I'm going through times of a time of winning though. Like I'm getting W's, but it's like for every two wins, I experience a loss. So it's like what? 2-1. I'm up 2-1. Life is still trying to knock me down, but it's not going to work because eventually I'm going to take off on this motherfucker. How's that for an analogy? And y'all, I want to get back into coaching, but I'm not particularly there yet. Like I said, this transition into this new career is a little, I'm not going to have the time. And I don't know. I got so much intellectual property, y'all. I got courses on courses. I got books. I got journals. I got a lot. And the creation process is awesome, but it's the execution that I got to do some work on. And I feel like I need to, part of me is like, oh, you need to start creating and get into the execution of it. But it's hard. So we'll see what happens in the next year when I got more money and more money and time. At least in 2027, it's really gonna pop. Like, yeah, yeah. That's all I'm gonna say. Anywho, it's been real. If you got this far, if you really listened to me this far, you really love you, girl. I fuck with y'all. See you later.